The morning the fine arrived started like any other: cereal bowls on the counter, mismatched socks on the kids, and my husband hunched over the coffee maker like it owed him money. The last thing I expected was to find an envelope taped to our front door, printed with the unforgiving block letters of the Crestwood Estates Homeowners Association. I tugged it free, thinking maybe it was the quarterly newsletter or some reminder about lawn heights. Instead, the first line nearly made me drop it. Violation notice: $500 fine issued for unauthorized outdoor activity. My jaw hung open. Unauthorized outdoor activity. What did that even mean? We weren't hosting bonfire raves or midnight concerts. All we had were 3 neighborhood kids, our 2 children and their friend Mia, playing tag on the grass strip beside our driveway. The same patch of lawn where kids had been running around since the neighborhood was built. I walked inside clutching the letter like it was a prank someone forgot to finish writing. My husband looked up. "What's that?" "A fine," I said, stunned. $500. For the kids playing outside yesterday. He blinked as though waiting for the punchline. When none came, he snatched the paper. "This is ridiculous." But there it was in black and white HOA legalese, a citation issued by Karen Wilcox, our HOA board vice president and notorious stickler for rules no one remembered. Agreeing to. Kids playing too loudly. Bikes left near driveways. Sidewalk chalk considered. Defacement. She'd even once claimed a squirrel feeding neighbor was encouraging wildlife loitering. Before we could process it, our son Ethan trudged in, backpack half open. "Mom, can Mia come over after school so we can finish our, hey, what's wrong?" I forced a smile. "We'll talk later." But kids are perceptive. He looked at the letter in his dad's hand and frowned. "Is this about us playing tag?" Mrs. Wilcox was staring at us through her window again. Of course she was. Karen had made it her mission to enforce a level of suburban order most military bases would find excessive. Still, a $500 fine. 4 kids being kids. That crossed a line. My husband paced. "We're not paying this. I'm calling the HOA office." But getting anyone besides Karen on the phone was a fantasy. The HOA voicemail had been full for months. And emails often went unanswered unless they involved dues. By lunchtime I'd heard from 3 neighbors who got similar notices. One fined for sidewalk chalk flowers, another for jump rope. Noise disturbances. It wasn't just us, Karen was escalating. And suddenly, an idea formed: if she could escalate, so could we. This wasn't just about a fine anymore. It was about our kids, our sanity, and our right to exist outside without permission. And I wasn't backing down. The HOA meetings were usually held in the community clubhouse, which was ironic because nothing remotely social ever happened inside it. Fold-out chairs, stale coffee, and a podium that looked stolen from a middle school auditorium set the tone. Still, by Tuesday evening the place was packed. After the wave of fines Karen issued, nearly half the neighborhood showed up: parents, grandparents, even the retired couple who normally avoided anything louder than a cat sneezing. I arrived with my husband. The disputed $500 fine. Notice tucked inside a folder like evidence in a crime drama. Conversations buzzed around us. The Martins had been fined because their grandkids played hopscotch on the driveway. The Changs were cited for excessive laughter during a backyard birthday party. Someone even claimed Karen measured the decibel level of children's laughter with her phone. I wasn't surprised. Then, right on schedule, Karen herself marched to the podium, stiff posture, pastel blazer, and her signature expression, like she'd smelled something unpleasant but couldn't locate it. "We will begin shortly," she said, tapping the microphone with a rehearsed authority. No greeting. No apology. Just a woman ready to wage war on childhood joy. The board members took their seats. Only 2 looked remotely comfortable. The third, a younger guy named Marcus seemed increasingly aware he'd made a poor life choice by volunteering. Karen cleared her throat. As many of you know, the HOA has issued fines in accordance with Covenant Article 14b. Section 3, regarding outdoor disturbances. A groan rippled through the room. My husband leaned close. Ask her what definition she's using. Nothing in the bylaws mentions kids. He didn't need to encourage me. I raised my hand high enough for her to see. After a tense pause, she sighed, "Yes, Mrs. Reynolds. We received a $500 fine for our children playing in our driveway. Could you explain how normal child play qualifies as a disturbance?" Karen clasped her hands. Play is permitted. Excessive noise is not. What's excessive? I asked. Karen smiled tightly. If it disrupts the peaceful enjoyment of the community. That's vague, someone called out. It's intentionally broad, Karen replied, as if that were a virtue. Children screaming. They weren't screaming, I cut in. They were laughing. Across the room, the Changs chimed in. Our fine said laughter too. Karen raised a hand sharply. Order, please. She turned back to me. Regardless, repeated incidents warrant enforcement. So you're saying children shouldn't play outside? I asked. I'm saying they should play quietly, in ways that do not disturb neighbors. The room erupted. They're children. This is insane. It's a neighborhood, not a library. Karen's lips tightened to a thin line. Rules are rules. Marcus finally leaned toward his mic. Maybe we should review the policy. This is the first I've heard of fines like this. The next morning, all of Crestwood Estates was buzzing. The meeting had done more than expose Karen's overreach. It sparked something we hadn't seen in years: unity. People who barely waved at each other were now huddled across lawns, comparing citation letters like war wounds and sipping coffee as if prepping for battle. I stood with the Martins and the Changs at the end of our cul-de-sac. Our kids drawing a giant mural on the sidewalk, despite 3 separate clauses. Karen insisted classified chalk as temporary graffiti. Flowers, unicorns, rockets, and smiley faces bloomed in reds and blues across the pavement. The kids laughed, blissfully unaware of suburban politics. She can't possibly fine the entire neighborhood, Mrs. Chang said, folding her arms. She'll try, Mr. Martin muttered. That's when the idea hit me. Then let her. If everyone gets fined, the system breaks. And if the system breaks, the board will have no choice but to remove her. The others exchanged looks. A peaceful rebellion, Mrs. Chang said slowly. I like it. Within hours, we formed a plan. Not a rowdy protest, but a coordinated demonstration of everything Karen forbade. Kids would play outside on every block. Sidewalk chalk would decorate every driveway. Bikes would lean against fences. People would grill in their yards with music at reasonable volumes. Nothing dangerous. Nothing disruptive. Just normal life. The kind she tried to erase. Word spread fast: group chats, porch conversations, text chains. By afternoon, nearly 50 households committed. Parents rearranged schedules. Neighbors dusted off lawn chairs. Retirees volunteered to supervise kids. Even people without children joined, offended by Karen's authoritarian tendencies. My husband printed signs: let kids be kids. Community over control, and my favorite: playing outside is not a crime. We weren't planning a march. Just making a point. By sunset, the neighborhood looked alive in a way it hadn't in years. Kids ran through sprinklers. A group played soccer in the empty lot. Sidewalk chalk messages connected driveways like a colorful patchwork quilt. Laughter echoed. Music drifted. People smiled. And right on cue, Karen emerged from her house, phone in hand, clutching her bylaws binder like a holy text. Her mouth fell open at the sight of the organized chaos. She marched to the Martins first, demanding to know who authorized this. We did, Mrs. Martin said cheerfully. Karen sputtered. All of you. All of us, my husband confirmed. She retreated, overwhelmed, furious, but unable to stop it. For the first time, she couldn't bully us one by one. We weren't isolated targets anymore. We were a community. The rebellion lasted 3 full days. By then, Karen had filed 19 formal complaints, 12 noise disturbance reports, and, according to rumor, threatened to call the police on a 7-year-old blowing bubbles. The police did not come. Neither did her sanity. On the 4th morning, an emergency HOA meeting was announced. This time, the entire neighborhood showed up, spilling out of the clubhouse doors and onto the grass. Karen stood at the podium, visibly rattled but clinging to authority like a life raft. As you all know, she began. This community has experienced a surge of rule violations. In order to restore order, Marcus cut her off. Actually, before we discuss enforcement, the board needs to address a different issue. He cleared his throat. Multiple residents have submitted formal complaints regarding misuse of power by Mrs. Wilcox. The room erupted in applause. Karen's eyes bulged. Misuse? I simply enforced the bylaws. Marcus lifted a binder. We reviewed them thoroughly. There is no clause permitting fines for normal children's play. None. There is a section stating board members must act in good faith and with community consensus. Your unilateral fines violate that rule. The applause grew louder. And, he continued, several residents discovered you edited internal documents without board approval. Gasps. This constitutes grounds for removal. Karen's voice cracked. You can't remove me. I volunteered here for 8 years. A retired neighbor shouted, and we've regretted it for 8 years. Marcus raised a hand. The board has voted. Effective immediately, you are removed from your position. Karen froze. Color drained from her face. She sputtered, pointed at us, at the kids, at the chalk drawings visible through the clubhouse windows. Then, with a strangled huff, she grabbed her binder and stormed out. A collective sigh filled the room. After the chaos settled, Marcus addressed the crowd. All recent fines are voided. We'll also revise the bylaws to protect reasonable outdoor play. Families shouldn't live in fear of their children having fun. Cheers erupted, genuine, relieved, and unified. When we returned home, Ethan hugged me tight. Does this mean we can play outside again? I smiled. More than that. It means the neighborhood finally remembered how to be a neighborhood. That evening, the community threw an impromptu block party, grills smoking, music playing, kids racing through sprinklers while adults chatted and laughed. No fines. No threats. Just life. And somewhere inside her house, Karen probably fumed. But outside, freedom tasted sweet.